Hello, and thank you for viewing this update on the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Audit Response Plan and Student Growth and Achievement from the 22-23 school year. I'm Nicole Marble, Chief Academic Officer. I'm joined by Director of Curriculum, Jessica Ebert, Director of Instruction, Leanne Nazy, Director of Continuous Improvement, Jennifer Fotch, and Director of Data Quality and Analytics, Lindsay White. Our objectives in this presentation are to update viewers on where we are as a division in responding to the Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Audit conducted in winter of 2022, as well as the strategic plan. Specifically, we will be sharing what systems have been established and the metrics that are being monitored to ensure that systems are positively impacting student outcomes and experiences. We will also be providing viewers with an update on student growth and achievement metrics from the 22-23 school year. I would like to begin by recapping where we have been. In the winter of 2022, an audit was conducted around curriculum, instruction, and assessment in the Wauwatosa School District. Momentarily, we will discuss what the audit revealed. In the fall of 2022, the newly constructed Division of Academic Performance presented its response plan to the audit. In March 2023, an update was provided on the progress made since the initial plan was presented. Today, we are before you to provide another update. But before we dive into the updates, I'd like to take a moment to reground viewers in what the audit found when it was conducted in the winter of 2022. The noteworthy findings of the audit were as follows. The infrastructure and overall academic performance of the district was not well. Students were not being taught via a guaranteed and viable curriculum, which means that the curriculum and assessments were not aligned to academic standards. There was no coherent professional learning plan to support educators in properly teaching students to the academic standards. Additionally, the audit revealed that the district lacked systems and structures to support continuous improvement efforts, which included a lacking data infrastructure and a lacking data culture. This means that there was no systematic way to track and respond to data. Our teachers and administrators lacked clarity in direction and expectations, which equated to an overall lack of organizational coherence. The final finding of the audit revealed that the district simply lacked an overall culture of academics, therefore high academic achievement had not been the result. In its most general sense, the following 7 action items were recommended to make enhancements to the systems, structures, and practices of curriculum, instruction, and assessment in the Wauwatosa School District. I would encourage you to pause the video to read further. This chart outlines the coherence in which the 7-step action plan flows from the district level to the teacher level. The systems and monitoring metrics that will be discussed next have been put in place to ensure that these actions take place. Again, I would encourage you to pause the video to better understand how each of the recommendations in the previous slide are operationalized at the different levels within the organization. This is a shared responsibility amongst all staff within the district. In addition to the actions outlined on the previous slide, it is the responsibility of the district to foster the culture and build capacity and coherence so that principals and teachers have the tools that they need to ensure that every student has an exceptional learning experience. To do this, at the district level, we establish and monitor systems that support the growth called for by our milestones and our strategic plan. As we monitor, we identify the bright spots and areas for improvement and make adjustments in the spirit of continuous improvement. Finally, with each audit recommendation, we will highlight any next steps that are underway to continue to build culture, capacity, and coherence around the recommendation. And at this time, I'll turn it over to our Director of Instruction, Mrs. Leanne Nazy.
Hello. The first recommendation from the audit was to restructure what was once the Department of Teaching and Learning to ensure greater focus and attention could be on curriculum, instruction, assessment, and continuous improvement. That has been accomplished through the separation of academics and student services with the creation of the Division of Academic Performance and the Division of Pupil and Family Supports. When both academics and student services were housed under one umbrella, the department's primary attention was on student services. Again, this separation allows both academics and student services to have priority within the organization. While the two divisions have been separated, this does not mean that there is no collaboration. The Division of Academic Performance and the Division of Pupil and Family Supports actually work very closely together to support the student learning experience across the district. As a collaborative team, we are continually reflecting and discussing what we can do differently to better support our principals, educators, students, and families. Recommendation number 2 calls for the creation, dissemination, and implementation of instructional look-fors. This is also aligned with Strategic Objective 1.4. In pursuit of an exceptional, rigorous learning experience for all, the following has been established in response to this recommendation. A philosophy of instruction has been established to anchor instructional expectations in the classroom. The instructional look-fors, or levers, which are the observable actions in service of the philosophy, have also been updated so that they are standards-aligned, targeted to eliminate disproportionality, and focus on cultural responsiveness. Additionally, an instructional handbook has been developed to outline instructional expectations, as well as provide educators with high-leverage instructional strategies to engage students in rigorous learning. In other words, it is an instructional toolbox. To bring coherence and bring organizational capacity, the professional learning plan for the 23-24 school year is anchored around 3 key themes: intentional instructional planning, culturally responsive learning environments, and the norms of collaboration. In the right-hand column, you will see how these instructional components will be monitored. It is through the thorough and consistent review of these metrics that principals will identify areas for improvement and subsequently intervene. To further the work around instruction, our principals will engage in professional learning around the instructional look-fors to ensure consistency and alignment between building principles. Additionally, they will align their practices in providing educators specific, actionable feedback. This is to enhance student learning experiences and outcomes. Further, a Teacher Leadership Academy will launch in fall of 2023 with a small cohort of educators from our secondary schools. These educators will be the early adopters or early experts in leveraging the instructional strategies found within the instructional handbook. These educators will also serve as future facilitators and leaders of the work around instructional practices.
Hello again, I'm Lindsay White, the Director of Data Quality and Analytics. Recommendation number 3 was to establish a system-wide data metrics and use those metrics to monitor progress. Throughout the 22-23 school year, we have created clarity on the leading and lagging indicators that educators in Wauwatosa are utilizing. Last year, we also spent the majority of the year cleaning up data sources to ensure greater accuracy as well as ensuring that educators have access to the necessary data. Now that we have made some considerable progress in this area, we can now begin more accurate and strategic data analysis. Here is an overview of those metrics. Our Board of Education and community can expect the Division of Academic Performance to report out on the district milestones semi-annually. Momentarily, I will provide you an update on our milestones. To deepen our understanding of the data being collected in the 23-24 school year, the team and I will begin our work around further studying and analyzing the correlation between these leading and lagging indicators. For our internal and external stakeholders, a public dashboard will be launched in the fall of 2023 that will house student data for review at any time in accordance with Objective 1.2 from the strategic plan. For our internal stakeholders, a student profile will be launched in the data warehouse EDIS in the fall of 2023 that will better assist a better understanding of serving each scholar. This is in service to Strategic Objective 1.6. At this time, I have the pleasure of updating you on our district milestones. As we shared last winter, 10 milestones have been established that serve as metrics behind the Vision of a Graduate 2.0. These 10 milestones are also key performance indicators to monitor success of our strategic plan. As students matriculate through the district, these are the skills and competencies that we are working to develop with students. This starts in junior kindergarten and culminates with the receipt of a diploma. The leading and lagging data indicators outlined on the previous slide are either monitored in service of these milestones and/or serve as a milestone itself. What follows is the most current data for each of the 10 milestones. It is important to note that the state assessment data is preliminary. Final results will be shared with the public release of the state report card, which is anticipated in November. In this presentation, we are reporting out on aggregate data, meaning we are reporting out on an overall district performance, not individual schools or student groups. However, in the executive summary, preliminary data on individual schools can be found, but not student groups. As of June, 69.78% of junior kindergarten students have met the end-of-the-year literacy benchmark. In February, we shared how students were performing against the winter benchmark in senior kindergarten, which was 92.14%. In spring, senior kindergartners are expected to know and be able to do more. Therefore, the spring benchmark is more rigorous. 65.2% of our senior kindergarten students met the end-of-the-year literacy benchmark. As of June, 67.7% of students in grades 1 through 10 have made expected growth in reading as measured by STAR. As of June, 65.4% of students in grades 1 through 10 have made expected growth in math as measured by STAR. As communicated by the results of the forward exam administered in spring of 2023, here are the preliminary results of how fourth grade students performed. Over the past few years, there has been considerable work done in elementary ELA in curriculum instruction and assessment to be more standards aligned. As a result, all of our traditional elementary schools showed improvements in ELA on the forward exam. Similar to ELA, there's been some considerable amount of work done in elementary math around curriculum, instruction, and assessment to be more standards aligned. Of particular note, there's been a considerable amount of work done to address deficiencies within our current math curriculum resource in the area of fourth grade fractions, resulting in nearly a 10% increase from last year to this year. While there is still work to be done to get to the goal of 90%, we are encouraged by the progress made in just 1 year. This slide articulates the slight growth that we saw in elementary science on the forward exam. This slide outlines a decrease in elementary social studies. Ms. Ebert, a director of curriculum, will highlight our plan to embark on a curriculum audit for K-12 social studies starting this next school year. Here you will see the growth in proficiency from last year to this year in middle school ELA. I am excited to share that this outstanding growth in proficiency was largely in part due to the hard work of Dr. Larson and her educators at Longfellow Middle School. The work to improve students' proficiency in literacy not only occurred in ELA classrooms, but in all content areas through their increased focus on reading and writing across all contents. On this slide, you will see slight growth in middle school math on the forward exam. On this slide, you will see growth in middle school science on the forward exam. While we saw slight improvements in middle school social studies, here too we are excited to begin our curriculum audit to further enhance the growth in the future. 52.5% of students met or exceeded the ACT benchmarks for reading. 45.3% of students met or exceeded the ACT benchmarks for math. 44.5% of students met or exceeded the ACT benchmarks for science. And 65.9% of students met or exceeded the ACT benchmark for English. As communicated by the results of the ACT exam administered in spring of 2023, our students in 11th grade had an average ACT composite of 21.2. Something unique to the Wauwatosa School District is that all students are required to take Advanced Placement Human Geography in 10th grade. As such, the success in the rigorous course is one of our milestones. We want all students to earn a B- or better in this course. In the 22-23 school year, 60.34% of 10th graders met this milestone. In the Wauwatosa School District, it is not good enough that students simply graduate with a high school diploma. We want 100% of Wauwatosa students to have an advantage over their peers from other districts in whatever post-secondary option they choose. As such, we want students to graduate with at least one of the following: an industry certificate, a work-based learning experience, and/or college credits. Students can earn industry certifications, such as a certified nursing assistant or occupational safety and health administration, otherwise known as OSHA certification, through participation in selected courses. Students can participate in a work-based or career-based learning experience by participating in youth apprenticeship. And college credits can be earned by way of advanced placement test scores or dual credit opportunities where students earn college and high school credits simultaneously. As we continue to improve our class registration planning process for students, we will be able to ensure that Milestone 7 is happening not by chance, but by strategically planning each student's educational pathway. Our milestones are also intended to monitor and measure student connectedness to the school community. As of spring 2023, 82.79% of students in grades 1 through 12 responded favorably to the statement, "I feel safe at school." As of June 2023, 81.31% of our students have a 90% or better attendance rate. And finally, with Milestone 10, we want all of our students to have something beyond their academic day to help them feel connected to the school community. Therefore, we aim to have student involvement in a vast array of clubs, sports, and activities. Moreover, this milestone strives for proportionate representation across extra and co-curricular activities in our middle and high schools. Currently, only 2 out of 9 demographic groups that we are monitoring is expected proportion to the greater school community. In other words, proportionality rate is only 22%. Each school will report out on their respective progress in their first State of the School report this fall. The Division of Academic Performance strongly encourages members of the community to attend these events and continue to engage with their building principals and teachers for the most up-to-date information on their child's academic growth and achievement. In short, our data tells us this: all of our traditional elementary schools made gains in math and ELA, but overall we saw a drop in proficiency in social studies. We saw exceptional growth at Longfellow Middle School in all core content areas. At Whitman Middle School, we saw growth in proficiency in science, however, a drop in all other core content areas. We are pleased to see an increase in the percentage of students achieving a B- or better in advanced placement human geography, but they remain stagnant on ACT Composite. For additional academic outcome data, please be sure to review the executive report linked to board docs. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jennifer Futch, Director of Continuous Improvement.
Hello. Recommendation 4 was to develop, implement, and monitor a school improvement planning process to establish shared responsibility and consistency across schools. In 22-23, all of our schools engaged in a thorough school growth plan development process. Principals and their building leadership teams crafted goals to address the following areas: academic achievement, disproportionality, and culture and climate. Over the course of the year, 3 impact sessions were held with buildings and district leadership to engage in discussion around each school's progress towards the plan, what action steps had occurred or were set to occur, and what district support might be needed to realize the school's goals. Principals are monitoring their data by collecting both leading and lagging data. Impact cycles occur in October, February, and May. Principals then share their state of the school as a follow-up to the impact cycles so that each school community is up to date on the school's progress. At the district level, the division will be meeting on a quarterly basis to review data. While members of the greater division of academic performance will be monitoring different data points on a weekly, monthly, semi-annually, and annual basis, the quarterly inquiry cycles affords the full team, including coaches, coordinators, and specialists, the opportunity to understand how one another's work complements and supports the overall academics of the organization, thus creating further clarity and coherence. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Jessica Ebert, our Director of Curriculum.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Ebert, Director of Curriculum. Recommendation number 5 called for the development and implementation of a well-articulated curriculum renewal system. Each of our content areas now has a predictable schedule as to when their curriculums will be up for review,
which is articulated in the 7-year curriculum cycle. Access to that document can be granted via the PDF link on this slide, in the executive summary linked in the board agenda, or the curriculum webpage on the district website. Along the way, we are also establishing structures to better monitor the effectiveness of the curriculum and ensure that the curriculum materials support student progress toward meeting district milestones and the vision of a graduate. As Ms. White mentioned earlier, it was through the monitoring phase of elementary mathematics that we identified a gap in the curriculum around 4th grade fractions. We were able to address this gap with the development of additional lessons throughout the course of the year. It was through further monitoring of our current elementary mathematics programming and the alignment to the updated Wisconsin mathematics standards that we will be addressing additional instruction around fact fluency this next school year. Additionally, through the monitoring of our internal data, teacher feedback, current research, and possible pending state legislative action, we began a review process for elementary and middle school ELA this past spring. In our data review, including teacher feedback, the gaps we have identified in our core ELA curriculum at the elementary and middle school level are too wide to supplement in the same way we are able to supplement math. It is our intention to come before the board this winter regarding a proposal for stronger ELA curriculum resources at the elementary and middle school levels. We will also be coming back before the board this fall in regards to curriculum implementation for high school English, K-12 science, technology education, and Project Lead the Way. This fall, we'll be launching audits in K-12 social studies, 1-12 world language, and STEM programming. To further our efforts of being transparent in the work around curriculum reviews and their developments, a web page is currently being crafted to provide updated information on curriculum reviews for anyone interested. Additionally, by the end of next year, it is our goal to have external-facing curriculum for individuals to see what students should know and be able to do, aligned to the rigor of the standards as a result of taking a particular course. This will be developed for grades JK8 in math and ELA.
This slide outlines the current monitoring of the newly implemented Human Growth and Development curriculum in the 22-23 school year. As viewers may recall, the previous curriculum had not been updated in over a decade, and board policy calls for a review every 3 years. The two tables on the screen showcase the number of students that were opted out of either all of the curriculum or one or more lessons. Interested individuals may see this data further broken down by lesson and school via the link in the executive summary attached to the board agenda. As a result of our analysis of not only this data, but also feedback collected from educators, the following updates are being made to the elementary lessons. The lessons are being formatted for greater coherence of directions and materials needed for educators. Slide decks are also being developed so that there is continued uniformity across the organization. At this time, data does not support the need for revisions of content. Every educator that will be teaching the Human Growth and Development lessons this next year will again be required to participate in mandatory training. At both the elementary level and in 7th and 8th grade, training and parent-guardian open houses will occur within the first semester so that lessons can begin at the teacher's discretion throughout the second semester. This is in an effort for educators to not feel stressed for time in the final days of the school year to ensure that the lessons are taught effectively.
Recommendation number 6 is to provide clear delineation of roles and responsibilities for coaches, coordinators, and specialists. This has been accomplished, and the impact of the work of these individuals is monitored in the named ways. This next year, we are excited to monitor how the increase in FTE allocation at the elementary and middle schools are impacting student achievement. I will have Ms. Foch explain more.
During the 22-23 school year, 6 academic specialists were allocated to our 10 elementary schools to serve students needing intensive intervention in literacy and math. During the update in March, we highlighted that we did not have enough staff to serve all students who performed at the 10th percentile or below on a universal screener. Thanks to the efforts of multiple divisions, we have been able to secure funding for a total of 12 elementary academic specialists. Title I funds were instrumental in bringing the additional highly qualified staff to Wauwatosa. The 12 full-time elementary academic specialists have been allocated through a data-informed decision-making process. Underwood Elementary has 3 full-time academic specialists. Eisenhower, Roosevelt, and Madison have 2 each. Jefferson has 1 dedicated elementary academic specialist. McKinley, Lincoln, Wilson, Wauwatosa STEM, Washington, and Montessori have part-time academic specialist allocations. At the middle school, the principals worked with the Division of Academic Performance to set aside 2 full-time staff members in each building for academic support. Both Longfellow and Whitman now have dedicated academic specialists in math and literacy. Their work this year will be not only to deliver intervention, but to further flesh out the system of academic support for middle school students. Work will continue this year at our high schools to map out support courses and determine next steps as we continue to build the system of academic support. It is important to understand that the heavy investment in the early grades should result in less need at the secondary. However, this will take time.
Recommendation number 7 is to provide clear expectations for Wednesday early release to support curriculum, instruction, and assessment efforts. First and foremost, the articulation of PACE, which stands for Prepare, Align, Collaborate, and Engage, is not solely married to Wednesday early release. Moving into the 23-24 school year at the elementary level, significant financial and human resources have been procured to provide elementary schools with more stable allocation of specials or allied arts educators in the area of physical education, art, and music. Each building now has their own specials teacher, and therefore building principals can develop a master schedule that have less interrupted instructional blocks and more strategically aligned pace time during the school day. Pace time during the school day has previously been referred to as common planning time. At the secondary level, there has been a continued and recommitment to intentionally structured pace time for educators during the school day. Again, this was previously known as common planning time. As a result of the time allocated within the school day, time on Wednesday early release has been repurposed to engage our educators in professional learning. The systems for monitoring the impact on these investments are identified in the right-hand column. In addition to the updates on the audit response and student performance, we would like to take a moment to update you on other work that has been accomplished in service of the strategic plan.
Since the March 2023 audit response was shared with the board, we have several items of which to be proud in the area of talent development. We have finalized our talent development philosophy with the help and support of multiple stakeholder groups. This gave us the opportunity to lay important philosophical groundwork in order to transition to a talent development model in Wauwatosa. This past spring, we revisited and updated math acceleration placement criteria and process at the elementary and middle school level. Underwood Elementary was the site of a pilot in the late spring of 2023 in which we looked at an alternative to the traditional model of subject acceleration in math. We are reviewing the feedback and results this summer. This summer, the student growth coordinators are drafting a plan for the systematic application of National Association for Gifted Children programming standards within our curriculum review and PACE cycles. Collaboration will occur with curriculum coordinators to ensure that talent development considerations are a part of each grade level team's PACE cycle for instructional planning. To improve communication around talent development for families, students, and staff, the student growth coordinators are working to build a web page that will host ongoing communications and resources. A learner profile will also be piloted in the fall with the goal of increasing awareness around a student's particular needs and goals. Finally, a talent development community advisory team is forming so that ongoing dialogue can take place with our parent community at regular intervals during the 23-24 school year. In response to the 2023 audit of our grading and reporting systems, a high school committee convened this summer to look at 2 aspects of grading: grade calculation and reassessment guidelines. The Committee of High School Educators determined that starting with the 23-24 school year,
High school course grades will be comprised of an average of summative assessments for 90% of the final grade and an average of formative assessments comprising the additional 10% of the grade. At the time of this report, the reassessment work is still in progress. The current changes are by no means the end goal, and we will be working over the next several school years to advance grading and reporting. This work is deeply intertwined with curriculum and instruction, and we anticipate further changes as our teaching practices evolve. Committees for grading at the middle and elementary levels will commence this fall.
As a result of the systems and practices that we have articulated over the 22-23 school year, we have seen improvements as we've outlined. Still, there is much more to be done. We look forward to returning before the Board of Education and the community in the future to provide additional updates on the improvements we are seeing in student outcomes. In particular, the next time that our team will be before the Board of Education is in October with course development proposals, and then again in February and March for the updates listed. On behalf of the team, I thank you for reviewing and for your interest and dedication to student growth and achievement.